Welcome to A New View. This week we're going to be talking about a season of silence. You know, sometimes we have to wait and we have to learn how to wait well and maybe wait with expectancy. But what does a season of silence look like for you? We're going to share some of our stories, but we also want to hear from you. What is a season of silence? You know, for me, I take that as kind of a set apart season. It's not really kind of fun, but I think God brings us into a season where we're set apart. Kind of like I look at it as like a butterfly in the cocoon stage, you know, right before the transformation. And then, you know, there's a lot of things that happen in the cocoon before the transformation. It's not always pretty. But I think that a season of silence, if we learn to wait well, we wait with expectancy, it can be beneficial.
Yeah.
I was watching, Joel Osteen had preached over a season of silence a while back, I imagine, and he made the point that it's just you're not center stage at the time. Whatever is going on in your life, you're not center stage, and that's when God's doing His best work on you. Is when you're set apart.
Oh, that's good.
Your character building, strength, just it's for that time when you are center stage.
That's good. That's good because a lot of times we want to be striving. You know, we want to be like, okay, things aren't moving as fast. I know, like for me, it's like things aren't moving as fast. You know, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be doing that? Yeah. And really, I like everything so organized. I don't know if it's being a mom of twins, but you know, I'm a pretty organized person. That's kind of my thing. Yeah. My control nature's kind of gone down. I still have a tendency of that. My OCD's not so bad, but I feel like a lot of times that's really taking that holy pause, and it can get kind of stressful, but it's so rewarding when you say, okay, Lord, I'm taking my hands off of this. I'm just going to do the next thing that you tell me to do. I don't have to see the whole game plan ahead of me, but, you know, help me to wait well in the next step because I'm the thing, I want to get things done, you know, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, we live very much so in an instant gratification society.
Yes.
Guilty.
Yes.
You know, where waiting can be difficult, and waiting with a good attitude and having patience and growing that. I can think of, for me, like there are different periods I feel like when we don't hear as much from God, or we feel like, God, was that you? Or for me anyway, I'm like, God, did you say that? Or was that me? Or am I hearing from you right? But in my life in particular, I think of a season of silence for me was when I got pregnant with Sophia unexpectedly. Jeff and I were dating, my husband and I were dating long distance, and I got pregnant with Sophia, and we were not planning for that. And I remember just feeling so bad about it and guilty. And mind you, I was a grown woman. I was 26 years old, had a great job. Was in a good place in my life, but that just wasn't my plan. That wasn't my best plan that I had mapped out. And I can remember feeling like God was upset with me, you know, that God was disappointed in me, and thinking about it, like, I'm like, am I going to get emotional? But it has been the best gift. But in that, not the whole 9 months, but I can remember I had been going to Lakewood. I loved going to Lakewood. And I would even go by myself because my girlfriend that I was living with at the time would go to Second Baptist. So we would kind of trade off and go together or go separately at our different churches that we were involved in. But I can remember I just stopped going to church, and I had really loved Lakewood, and I just stopped going. And I wasn't connected there yet because I was traveling on the weekends to see Jeff and things like that, and my job was busy. But I just remember feeling like, God, you've got to be disappointed in me, because people around me were disappointed in me, or they were just like, really? And, you know, oh, that wasn't the right plan. And so I just assumed that that's how God felt about me. And I had already been saved. You know, I had already had somewhat of a pretty close relationship with God, so it wasn't anything that He said. I can completely remember. It wasn't like, God, like, how could you, or sinner. You know, it wasn't anything like that. It just was, I put myself in a season of silence in the sense of like, I pulled away from my connection to God. And I had one really, really good friend. She's a good friend of mine now. I call her like my spiritual mother, and I don't talk to her all the time. But she just encouraged me and was like, it's going to be fine. You know, God knew all of this. And thank God I had her saying those things.
To combat the lies.
Yes, yes. Right. And so that period went on. I mean, I was happy and things were fine for a while. But even after I had Sophia, I think I had postpartum, and I didn't realize it. And it wasn't honestly until, you know, I started drinking even more after that. once I got involved in my church and met women like you know, you guys know Karen and Kelly, and our whole group of women, that I finally came out of what I think was my season of silence. But again, like this is why I was so glad we were doing this, because the things that you said, you know, we're set apart for a season, for a time, and God's building that character. And you know what? Through that time, I know God didn't leave me, and I know He wasn't upset with me and disappointed. It was more, oh gosh, I'm gonna get emotional, but it was just
okay. But you know what I was thinking when you were saying that is because really a season of silence, sometimes we will impose that on ourselves, and sometimes God has to set us apart to do the growing and the character. But you know what the key thing is that's why the enemy's a liar, is you let shame keep you in a season of silence because you felt shame, and that's not how God works, but that's how the enemy really works. So thankfully that we have a loving God that's so patient with us, that when we come back to that group of people that really encourage us and build us up, and he tells us, this is not my best for you. I'm here, I'm waiting for you to come seek me. And then we can get back into, you know, his presence. His presence never leaves us, but we can distance ourselves, like you said.
And
but
that's
I think
exactly
shame,
what it was.
And I think
I
shame
just
will
totally,
distance us.
I walked away from my relationship with him. It wasn't. I don't. You know, it reminds me of the verse about God does not ever leave us or forsake us. He is always there. Right. You know, and the Bible tells us that nothing can separate us from His love for us, and that means nothing. I mean, literally in the Bible, it lists the powers and the things that we think would separate us from God's love, and that's not true. And so really, I was a grown woman with a relationship with God already, and struggling with that.
Shame chose the
Yes, and so I'm so glad we're doing something like this, because it's so important that we know that we may be in a season of silence, but that's not always a bad thing. And sometimes we put ourselves there, and we have to have women in our lives saying, hello, you know, God is still here, you know, what do you need? Because I can step in and help you. And so I'm glad we're doing this. It's been really good.
So if you're in a season of silence and it's because there's something you haven't forgiven yourself on, try to be, it would be great if everybody could just go forward and be quick to forgive yourself, because then you'll realize that you've already been forgiven much faster.
Exactly.
And asking God, if I am in a season of silence, or if this is a season of silence, what does that look like? God, what do you want to do right now? And I'm telling you, in my perspective, yes, I'm crying about it now, but it's because I'm sad for that girl in that moment that felt like God didn't love her. You know?
But so thankful that He brought you
back
and I
can share that and say, that's a lie. You know, God never He never leaves you. He loves you, and when He loves you, that doesn't go away. So.
Right, when He loves you, there's no strings attached. That song.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I love that song. You know, I was really thinking, Emery Horvath has a great blog, and he was saying, calmness, understanding, and strength are never the companions of hurry. And so a lot of times, you know, we're praying and we're really believing God for something, but I think really it's we need to pause long enough for the listening. You know, because a lot of times either shame will separate us into our season of silence, or sometimes just our striving can, and God is saying, I want you to seek me. And there was a great thing, Mark Batterson has a great book, Circle Maker, and my friend Julie Price, she reshared this today from his Draw the Circle devotional, and it's talking about that we don't need to seek opportunities. When we seek God, He'll bring the opportunities. You know, we don't need to say we want to meet, you know, the right connections, the right things, or things like that. When we meet with God, He'll bring those. But I think sometimes, like Kim was talking about in the beginning, that character building. I know for me in a set apart season, at first I was really like, I felt like everybody abandoned me. Why am I doing this? But it taught me to press in so deep to God and to be comfortable to say, Lord, I will let go of everyone and everything. I will hold on loosely and do what you asked me to do if this is what you want me to do. And it really taught me. I mean, I'm not normally a patient person, you know, and especially, you know, God gave me twins and He's like, I'm going to teach you patience. And then I'm like, I still don't, you know, learn it and things like that. But the patience that He did, and I tell you, it was just like that set apart season for me, that season of silence really helps me. And so now when I feel like okay, you know, the what were you saying in the beginning? You were saying that we can't all be on it at
center stage.
Center stage it all the time, and I think especially in life and in ministry, you know, one day you're going to have to be taking out the trash and washing the dishes. The other day you'll get a great opportunity to go here or go speak there or do an interview or something like that. But it's really trusting God because you don't know what He has for us, you know.
I have a really bad analogy, but I've been, you know, fried chicken is a good thing. And so I was thinking like, okay, so right now, let's say I get a craving for fried chicken and there's some over there, so I go eat it. It's pretty good fried chicken because it satiated that craving, right? What if I wanted fried chicken and it took me 5 days to get around to it? That would be the best fried chicken ever, right? So in that set apart season, when you don't have your fried chicken, waiting for that fried chicken makes the receipt of the fried chicken so much better.
That's right. It really does. It really does, because just the character, what you're learning in that whole season. And there's some great verses too. You know, Psalm 27:14. It says, "Wait on the Lord and be of good courage, and He shall strengthen thine heart." Wait, I say, on the Lord, because usually when we're in those seasons of silence, whether we've self-imposed it or God's had us in a set-apart season to build our character or just to have us wait on Him and to expect and to listen to Him better, it's really like, do I have good courage? No, I'm kind of grumbling. I'm kind of like, no, I don't really like this. But when you get over that hump, like you're saying, like, okay, that's going to make that reward that much better. He's polishing, he's refining, he's working on my heart. And I love where it says, so He shall strengthen the heart. So He's building up our heart in all those areas where we're feeling less than.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because when I was reading the Joel part of it, where he was saying you're gaining experience, maturity, and strength, when you think about it in the heart, that's to put that together.
That's good.
Yeah, those things don't just happen overnight, you know.
Right. And so Kim has 10 things while you're waiting on God. She's going to touch on a couple of them, but she's going to put the whole list when we reshare the video, but they're really good.
And so actually, and why 10 things to do while you're waiting on God is important isn't just so that you're not bored, but it's because waiting is not a passive activity.
Right.
A lot of people sit back and wait for God to drop, money or a job or a man in their life, but there's things to go do.
Right.
Get her done.
You gotta do it.
And so I'm just going to give you 3 of these real quick. Watch with expectancy, but be prepared for unexpected answers, because we tend to get mad when it's not the answer we were hoping for.
Right.
So that was from Psalms 5:3. Trust in the Lord, not in your own understanding.
Yes.
Because when it's not the answer you're expecting, there's a reason, and it's probably for your benefit. So wait for it with expectancy. Wait to see the good come out of it. Good or bad, hard to say.
Yeah.
And that was Proverbs. Resist fretting, refrain from anger, be still, and choose patience, from Psalms. Choose patience.
To choose it. Wow.
Choose. That's the word for today.
Yeah, we have to choose to wait well. We have to choose to wait with that expectancy. We have to also trust in His understanding, because I was thinking of something recently that keeps coming back to me, is saying, a lot of people won't understand our God encounters. They won't get them. But we get them because we've been in that season. We've been in that set apart place with Him. We've been in His presence. We get it. A lot of people will like to share their doctrinal experiences, which is great.
Yeah.
But until we have our own God encounters, whether that be Him pulling us out of a season of silence that we put ourselves in because we let shame kind of overpower us in that season, or if He put it in and says, there's some refining I need to do in your character, or He just says, there's something you don't understand or you don't see ahead of you that is coming, so I need you to be kind of in this season right now.
You're going to need what I got for you back here. Can you step behind the curtain for a little while?
And we need the silence.
Yes,
it may hurt, and it may be something that we've even put ourselves in, but He makes everything good.
Yep.
And we need that season of silence to hear from Him and to get quiet, because we don't want to be quiet sometimes, and we're so used to having noise and things to do and the striving and all of that. And you're absolutely right. So we just want to encourage you that a season of silence isn't always a bad thing. And ask yourself, why am I in this season? And when you figured it out, share it with people, because there's power in knowing that there's a purpose in that, and it doesn't feel like you're alone, and you don't feel isolated. There's a purpose in all of that.
Exactly. So if you're in a season of silence and maybe you've just identified by watching this saying, God has me in that season of silence, I am going to trust him in it. Or if you've put yourself in that season of silence because of something you think that God can't forgive you for, or you're just holding on shame that you shouldn't be, we would love for you to hashtag share your view of a new view and let us know. Let us pray for you. Let us link arms together and say, you know what? Let's wait well. Let's wait with expectancy in your season of silence or just in your everyday. There's miracles in the mundane. We just have to wait for them. Take care.